Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the Africa Independent Television, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. Only on this channel, we'll give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to the program today. Like we say, wherever the news is, Security Watch Africa will go there to bring it to you. Like last week, we were in the creeks, the ocean of Nigeria, in the south-south zone of the country to bring you what is happening. Today, we are back in the studio to look at a very important issue that is threatening the socioeconomic activity in Nigeria, talking about security of railway transportation in Nigeria. What solutions to all this, all these derailment, attacks, and all that? We have a guest in the studio who will be taking us through what should be done. Where did we get it wrong, or what should have been done? I know that time is a problem here, but we'll see how we can manage the time we have, or continue in the previous edition in the subsequent edition of this program. But that will be before this report by Shirley Daniels from the Nigerian Army. Sit back.
In his constant search to improve the Nigerian Army, the Army helmsman, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, has continued to bring different transformations to the Nigerian Army. This he has shown by establishing and commissioning of the Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center in Giri. In his speech, General Yahaya noted the reason behind the transformations going on in the Nigerian Army.
The Nigerian Army has undergone significant transformation since the advent of democracy. Initially, the major drive of the transformation was to entrench professionalism and regimentation in personnel towards achieving operational successes as well as improving the image of the Nigerian Army. This has largely been achieved over time and now being consolidated under my watch, with robust operational and administrative milestones recorded. It is my desire to emplace measures that will prevent a reversal of the gains built on existing success and project the Nigerian Army as a modern, highly professional army into the future. One of such measures is the aggregation of highly skilled, competent, and senior experienced Army officers and others with requisite competencies to address Nigerian Army's specific thematic challenges. This is to be achieved through productive research, analysis, studies, and suggestion of novel solutions to make the Nigerian Army more effective, resilient, and adaptive force.
He further spoke on the need of the Heritage and Future Center in strategic input for future plan in the Nigerian Army.
I approve the establishment of the Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center to, among other key roles, develop plans for the entrenchment and preservation of Nigerian Army heritage, provide strategic inputs for future plans and continuous modernization of the Nigerian Army, as well as act as loyal opposition to the Nigerian Army by constantly calling out inconsistencies and flaws within the system. Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center will also work to institutionalize and maintain novel solutions to tactical, operational, training, administrative, and logistic challenges of the Nigerian Army.
The Army Chief also appreciated the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, for his support to the Nigerian Army, among others.
I wish to appreciate most sincerely, sir, and thank the Chief of the Defense Staff for your continuous leadership, for your guidance, for your support to the Nigerian Army.
Before commissioning the building, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, in his address, noted that the Heritage and Future Center is a welcome development which will add value to the Nigerian Army activities.
I fervently believe that the Center, as intended, will add value to the Nigerian Army's activities in terms of preserving our history and drawing lessons for ongoing and future operations through critical analysis.
I hereby commission this Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center for the growth and excellence of the Nigerian Army and the armed forces in Nigeria and of course humanity, to the glory of God. Amen.
Earlier on, while delivering his welcome address, the Chief of Policy and Plans Army, Major General Anthony Omozoji, gave details of the facilities.
The Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center is intended to be a factory of ideas geared towards maintaining the essence we are as the Nigerian Army, what we ought to be, where we ought to be, and how to get to the future we have envisioned. I have no doubt that by the caliber of senior officers carefully selected to pioneer the affairs of the Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center, that a solid foundation will be laid for the attainment of its missions, roles, and responsibilities as conceived by the Chief of Army Staff.
Shirley Daniels, reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. We'll quickly just take you to the Defense Headquarters, where Elizabeth Tanko brings us a report on the last 2 weeks and by the troops. What have they achieved? Let's watch it.
In the past 2 weeks, the Armed Forces of Nigeria has killed 42 terrorists in the northeast zone of the country, while 267 Boko Haram members and their families surrendered, and 6 adopted civilians rescued. This was disclosed during the bi-weekly media briefings of the Directorate of Media Operations at the Defense Headquarters. The Director of Defense Media Operations, while giving the breakdown of achievements of the troops, said a total number of 55 AK-47 rifles were recovered from various zones of Nigeria.
Troops in the northeast region recovered 12 AK-47 rifles, 2 locally fabricated guns, 1 FN rifle, 1 duty rifle, 3 QJC guns, 2 60mm mortar bombs, 36 rounds of belted 7.62mm NATO ammunition, 7 60mm mortar chargers, 4 RPG bombs, 1 Phantom MRAP, 2 PK machine gun, 1 gun truck, 336 rounds of 12.7mm armor-piercing ammunition, 56 rounds of 7.62mm ringed ammunition, 21 rounds of 7.62mm refilled ammunition, 19 rounds of 7.62mm NATO, 48 rounds of 7.62mm special, 14 AK-47 magazine, 2 vehicles, 9 bicycles, 4 motorcycles, and the sum of 15,000 naira only, among other sundry items. Troops equally neutralized 42 terrorists, arrested 5 terrorists and 9 terrorist logistics suppliers, as well as arrested 5 suspected vandals, 5 bandits, as well as 5 armed headers. Troops also rescued 6 abducted civilians, while a total of 267 Boko Haram and Islamic State terrorists and members of their family, comprising of 22 adult males, 128 adult females, and 117 children, surrendered to troops at different locations in the Northeast Theater of Operations.
General Dambadami pledged that the troops will continue to protect Nigeria and its citizens.
The entire populace is hereby appreciated for their support given to the armed forces of Nigeria and other security agencies in the conduct of our various operations across the length and breadth of the country, while also urging them to continue to provide prompt and credible information in the activities of terrorists and other criminal elements in their respective areas.
Elizabeth Thanko, reporting for Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yes, back to the discussion now. Already I have in the studio with me a man that has seen it all in terms of security and policing because he has been everywhere you need to talk about in terms of police operations and administration and investigation, talking about as retired though, but still not tired, Assistant Inspector General of Police Wilson Inalegu. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Like I said at the beginning, we'll be looking at security of railway transportation in Nigeria. What solution? But let's watch this little introduction to prepare us towards the discussion.
Railway transportation in most countries of the world has brought about economic revolution and ease of movement of persons and goods. Nigeria, with a population of over 200 million people, no doubt, would need a more reliable and trusted means of transportation that would drive the economy. The President Muhammadu Buhari-led government, on assumption of office in 2015, identified rail transportation infrastructure as deserving priority attention among other sectors of the economy. Accordingly, a blueprint and an action plan aimed at its revival, which includes a combination of ongoing and abiding. The railway transportation system is seen by many to have a lot of advantages over other systems of transportation, ranging from revenue generation to the pockets, ease of boarding, being pocket-friendly, best to move heavy and light goods, among others. What is stand out is the security of the recent experience in the railway transportation sector, Abuja-Kaduna train on the 28th of March 2022, station on the 7th of January 2023, to the recent derailing of a Warri-Itakpe-born train on the 22nd of January 2023, with the insecurity challenge confronting the railway transportation system in Nigeria and a huge sector. What should have been done differently? What can be done to prevent future attacks? We have a guest in the studio to give answers to some of these questions and more.
Now you had that already stated. What should have been done different? And by the way, just yesterday, another train was derailed again at Kubwa. That's also creating fear in the minds of people. But where are we getting it wrong?
Well, first of all, I want to say that it's unfortunate that these attacks are taking place because we had thought after the Kaduna train attack, we will not have another attack close to any railway facility. Unfortunately, at Erakan, under Igweben local government area, we had an attack. It's unfortunate, and then within the same period, we've had two derailments. First of all, I think we're just getting back into the rail. Rail has been absent for a long time. So, and I think the managers, administrators of the railway, they still have some catching up to do. That's my understanding and explanation for what is going on. But I think it's taken a long time for them to have learned a lot to prevent these attacks. And also, we are not used to having a train attack, but because of the importance of the rail system to public transportation of persons and goods, the Nigeria Police Force established a separate command dedicated solely for the security of passengers, rail tracks, and the rest of them, with command, with jurisdiction in those locations also playing their part. So, first of all, what is the problem? What are the vulnerabilities of these railway stations and rail tracks? If you don't have that understanding, how do you police? So the first thing is, I think the Nigeria Police Forces, working in close collaboration with other agencies, must look at the situations, look at the lessons learned, and see how they can improve on the security of passengers, the train, and the track. But I think one of the ways to go, because you cannot have officers lined up on every inch, every kilometer of the way, that's going to take. But we are going to have technology. We have technology. First of all, it is the central control area. Whatever is happening, we are able to monitor in real time and advise appropriately. It's not enough to have only the communication between the drivers and the stations and the rest. Now you need to have, and I think there should be some sensors. Assuming somebody has breached the rail track, maybe 1 kilometer or something away, I think there should be equipment to be able to detect that there is problem, because there could be sabotage. Somebody could decide to breach, damage the rail line.
Which is what we are noticing now.
Yeah.
Because
So I don't want to believe that this derailment is as a result of sabotage. I don't have the details. So from a costly point of view, I'll look at it as accident. But I think it's important that we have a system, just like we monitor oil pipeline, that anywhere it is breached, you quickly get alerted. And then you should have adequate response mechanism. If you don't have adequate response, even where you have information, even where you have a detection by cameras and all,
whatever, yeah.
how are you able to respond? And I think I'm quite impressed with the response by Edo Police Command and the government of Edo State. And I think there's a lot to learn. How come these individuals kidnapped, they were rescued within, I think, 1 week,
Just
2
1
weeks.
week, yeah.
But I think it's important that we understand. But it goes down to one thing, the community. You can have even technology, but let the communities along the rail track say that these are critical national assets, and they have a role to play. And if the government has given directive, it's important they obey. If they have asked you, limit this class of people to this, don't allow such settlement by the rail. And I think, and that is why, for the Edo government to hold some traditional rulers responsible for not delivering on their responsibility of managing their communities, know who comes in and who goes out, following government directives, do this, do that. And that's a lesson for others. And I think government can say, look, within this Igwebe jurisdiction, up to this, within Itakwe, the traditional ruler Itakwe, the use of Itakwe, they have a role to play. Because nobody can go into the community without somebody knowing.
Inside.
And then I think our communities must comport. Because if you look at security as they and us, without the we factor, you should see it as we. We in the studio here, we can have somebody at the gate watching, but all of us here, see something go wrong, have a role to play. So I think if you mobilize the communities, you are going to be able to put a stop. If you not eliminate, or if you not reduce, I mean to stop, but you reduce it to a minimal level. So I think there should be mobilization of communities along the rail line. And then the mode of boarding, especially at the railway station, you should have from the rail track. I know in those days you couldn't ride your bicycle along the train platform. I mean, the police will arrest you. I recall, 1974, somebody riding a bicycle along the near Otukpo railway station. The police apprehended him. So, and I think that is, there should be any thoroughfare there. It is strictly for the rail. It's just like having an aircraft, having the air side, somebody going there. No. So I think the railway managers should look at it that, look, how do we better secure? And I think every railway station should have cameras. All the trains should be properly equipped. Cameras, communication. These things, they are not rocket science. It's quite easy. Yes. Believe me, it's very easy. Because if you don't do it, you are going to pay. Like, if it were in Europe, the train attack that happened Abuja, Kaduna, all the pictures, you will see how the train was attacked and all. I don't know if they have that, but they didn't share it with the public. But sometimes these are tools that you use for lessons learned. But you can have all this if you don't have the resources for the security personnel. If you can't get the security personnel to work in close collaboration, in synergy with each other, you aren't going to get it. And so every railway station should have an early warning system that should be able to trigger an alarm to the nearest police or military formation to be able to give that response. Okay. That's what I think we can do. But let me go back. Number one, mobilize the communities along the rail tracks. 2, secure the rail stations. 3, cameras. On the train. The train should be able to also watch. And then at stations, so that for a particular station, you can group like 3 stations, and you have the central one having the monitor, so that with communication, they're able to monitor the development. If any rail track is breached, you're able to alert the driver on time. That is, and of course, I think they have taken those measures about the passengers, having proper documentation. It shouldn't be like kabu. You just go and enter. There should be, so that you know how many passengers you have, what are the identity of those people, so you are able to trace, at least through their telephone numbers, through any other means of identification.
Now, I've identified one thing that is happening now. The 2 derailments that took place were as a result of somebody cutting the tracks. In the past, we used to have cut the tracks and take it away, like vandalization for sale and all that. But now they just deliberately cut this and leave it, which brings the suspicion that this could be intended to cause an accident or sabotage the rail system. Is there possible? Is there any way that such people could go there and do it without these communities knowing it? You have talked about mobilizing and buying these communities to accept this, because it's a development also for their communities. But some of them will complain, like what is the Igwebe? The station is far from the community itself. Yes. So is there any way that this can actually help? Once anybody is detected along the rail track, then law enforcement agencies can pick it up.
You recall, I have also stated that along the rail track, you are not allowed to loiter on the rail track. And I give you an example.
But some farmers will say there is a thoroughfare to their farms.
No, a thoroughfare is easy, but you walk along. You could walk across. But when you are seen parading the place, I mean, it should be asked. And that is the role of the community. The community should see it as their assets. It's not their assets. It is we are assets. And if you don't have that mindset, you are likely not to get a point. So every community where the rail passes through should regard it as a privilege. And I know it does happen. I recall about 3 weeks ago, I had a call from a community in the Benue South about a breach of a rail track, abandoned rail tracks. And the community mobilized, apprehended. So I think some of the individuals recovered. I think those people took off. But they were able to recover all those metals. And I think the police was alerted.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
It is a community in Igumale. Let me be specific. A community in Igumale is Ado local government area of Benue State. They found some individuals were tampering with the rail track. They had gathered all the metal, and the community chased them. So they didn't take them away. It is a community. It is a communal asset. It's a national asset. It is something that will promote business. Like the rail track in Igweben is located about 1.5 kilometers from the city center. Of course, some of these decisions you cannot rule out.
I think these are part of the problem in Nigeria. You take decisions without considering security.
Yes, because these are issues that people must be very careful about. If you want to locate any business, you have to think of, if it is commercial something, nearness to raw material.
Yeah.
But if you want to rent a place, you also, is this place secure? Is it located close to a ravine? A ravine that somebody can come and breach your house at night, and all those things. I think the security people shouldn't just be regarded as guards, but they should also be regarded as people who have useful contribution to make. That if you are locating this, for now that place is not developed, what can you do? Because this rail station should have multiplier effect. It should be able to generate economic activity.
Yes,
and, but when you go and put it in one isolated place, unless you begin to do things that will attract people there, but where they only sell banana and granite, it should be able to generate taxis and the rest of them. So, but it is important that Nigerians and all of us should see it as a collective responsibility to see something and say something. It shouldn't just be a mantra. It should be something that we internalize.
Practicalize, yes. Thank you so much. We're getting signal to leave because time is of essence. But sir, it's a pleasure having you. I know you had to travel very far to ensure that you are here for the program. We really appreciate you, sir.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
And I'm very
soon. I'll invite you over to my farm.
Let's will be inviting you back to talk on issues. The election is around the corner. We'll get to look at it very soon. If you are joining us, this is our program, Security Watch Africa, where we look at security of lives and property. You can follow us on all our various social media platforms. Send us your views or comments so we can interact and give us what you think is the best way forward for security in Africa. Until we come away again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned and bye for now.